Okay, hello everyone. I'm John, C-I-N, John. I'm from ESSEC Business School in France, and today I'm going to present our very ambitious randomized controlled trial in the Philippines and India. This is joint work with Alp Sungu and a team of excellent researchers that you see here. If there is anything you really don't like, it's probably maybe not Alp and I's fault. So looking at the title, you might think, how can AI help the poorest and the planet? Well, it's actually, today I'm going to try to convince you that there is a potential, real opportunity here. We're still running the experiment. We just finished the baseline a couple of weeks ago, so I'm not going to have any results. Before I start with the experiment, I spent the past over 9 years studying this relatively underexplored industry from business schools, agriculture. While we don't study agriculture very frequently in business schools, there has been tremendous productivity growth So first I'm going to show you a graph looking at the change in labor productivity across various industries in the US over the past half a century or so. Which industry do you think is going to come out on top? Well, agriculture, depicted in red, has shown almost double the productivity growth in the US compared to other industries like manufacturing and retail that we more frequently study in business schools. And this is not just limited to the US. There has been tremendous global productivity growth in agricultural industries, including in the developing world. And while this tremendous productivity growth allowed us to feed the world, keep the food prices down, food security, the technologies and practices that enable this productivity growth also contribute to various kinds of important environmental issues. Agricultural industries account for 70% of the human-driven freshwater use, up to a third of greenhouse gas emissions. The fertilizer and pesticide runoffs from agricultural fields contribute to various kinds of very harmful air and water pollution. And while the productivity growth, as you can see, has been global, many developing countries continue to lag behind, especially in terms of labor productivity. And 2 billion people globally rely on smallholder farms for their livelihoods, including 800 million of the world's poorest. So improving, and many smallholders lag behind in terms of adopting even rudimentary best practices. So improving the practices at the smallholder farms offers to improve both environmental and economic outcomes, alleviate poverty. It's an important problem. For example, so in the experiment, we are looking at rice farmers. This is a picture during the planting season from a smallholder rice farm. What typically happens in rice farming is that farmers grow the seeds into seedlings in a separate site. And during the planting season, farmers hire teams of 20, 30 workers to plant the seedlings into the soil. This practice is called transplanting. It's a very labor-intensive process. It takes 20, 30 people, a couple of days to plant a relatively small field. And this is one of the main cost drivers. And there is actually an alternative. So instead of growing the seeds into seedlings in a separate field and bring them in, farmers can actually directly put the seeds. This practice offers to reduce the labor cost, which is one of the main cost items, by up to 70%, especially when done during the dry season. And the practice also offers a significantly lower water use and methane emissions. So it seems like a win-win. Farmers win, lower labor costs, better environmental outcomes. However, it's not very commonly adopted. So this is a figure from our India and Philippines deployments. Most farmers do transplanting, like all farmers in our data do transplanting every dry season. There are 2 seasons in both countries. And in the wet season, some farmers, especially in the Philippines, do what is called a wet DSR, which is considered a little bit even lazy. It's not done out of, advances, but it's done out of, like you don't want to do like transplanting. And so this is surprising. And when we ask the farmers, are you interested in doing DSR in the next dry season? A lot of farmers say yes, yeah, I'm interested. So what is happening here? So there are a couple of issues. So first, the practice is actually relatively complicated. It requires support. Farmers require support. They have some new tasks. So now that they don't have to bring the seedlings in a separate environment, they have to take care of the seeds until the germination. Especially in dryland DSR, the weeds are a little bit harder to manage, so they have to take a little bit more care in that area. And their overall schedule of what they do when changes, and this introduces quite a few new complex decisions. And if not done correctly, there are real penalties. Feel free to interrupt, by the way. This is very early work. So I have some other work in this area as well. In-person advisory usually helps. So if you have a technician, an expert that comes and tells you how to do things that you can ask questions to, it usually helps with the adoption of these practices, with productivity, with the adoption of other good practices. In some contexts, research documents some issues with equitable access. Sometimes the in-person advisors, extension agents may overlook certain sort of community subgroups. There are some issues, but it usually works. And there are 400,000 agricultural extension agents globally in low and middle income countries. So it's a big initiative. Despite 400,000 agents working, the farm-to-agent ratio often exceeds 1,000 to 1. In Philippines, it's a little better. In India, it's about here. So as you can imagine, the agents can't reach everyone, and farmers can't get access to experts every time that they need. There is a bit of an opportunity. So we are looking at the growth in various services in low and middle income economies. And we see that farmers have mobile phones. They usually have internet access. The mobile phones are not like iPhones, but still can access mostly the internet. The coverage is not great. Maybe you need to buy subscriptions or buy credits occasionally. But most farmers have access to internet, especially in the two countries that we have been working in. So using this opportunity, there has been various initiatives over the past decade or so to use these tools as a way to get to the farmers, get farmers information at the right time. One of the ways that organizations have tried and research have investigated is you can provide information via SMS messages. There is some evidence to show that this barely works. Maybe there's a major experiment if you look at a very large sample, you can identify a maybe 2% increase in uptake of a specific soil conditioner. However, as you can imagine, this is a one-way communication. You have to figure out the right time to send these messages. It's not clear that people will actually read it. There's no way to get feedback. It's very hard to customize. You can technically customize, but you need to know the individual circumstances. But the benefit is it's very low cost. It basically costs nothing to send the same message to one more farmer. And if the benefits are even a little even little benefit given the scale of agriculture industries can be can justify the investment. Here, LLMs, I'm going to argue, actually provide an opportunity. So how come? So this is a picture from the app we developed. You can provide timely advice, integrate farmer feedback, it's on demand, conversational. Even compared to extension agents, you can provide support in very local languages, which is an issue in some contexts. It's very low cost. So this is the system we developed. Thankfully, my wife is a backend engineer, so she helped a little bit make this more cutting edge. We have a very complex, sophisticated backend. We do a lot of pre-processing. We improve the system a lot over lots of iterations with user testing. Our LLM has a very, very large, well-curated knowledge base that we built with our industry collaborator, Bayer Crop Science, and government agencies. So experts help us curate the knowledge base. And the front end is very simple. So it's a WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, common messenger platforms, farmers message, they get an answer. It's not clear that this will work. One of the main reasons is, it's not clear that farmers will necessarily ask the right questions. We actually incorporated some nudges, some ways to sort of nudge farmers to ask the more correct questions or more. There are also known issues with positivity bias, hallucination. We have lots of measures to sort of reduce that as much as possible, but it's still potentially an issue. And we went ahead and provided this tool to farmers. So we have, these are pictures from actual deployment of the experiment. I personally spent quite a lot of time in the Philippines. When the farmers send their first message, they're randomly assigned to either a vanilla chatbot versus this sophisticated agri-LLM tool that we built. We provided the control group a vanilla chatbot both to reduce mitigate differential attrition, and also we wanted to understand not just the effects of maybe using this sort of new tool, but also whether they get actually information. The vanilla chatbot is not able to give farming information. So if they ask a farming question, it says, sorry, I can't help with that. Why don't we talk about movies and whatever? We have an incentivized treatment arm that to understand a bit more, if we pay them for a short period to engage a bit more, are they more likely to keep using it? We have 2 deployments, about 1,800 farmers in the Philippines, 550 in India. We have slightly different recruitment methods. In India, we use WhatsApp, Philippines, Facebook Messenger, the most common messenger platforms. And we have 3 rounds of survey. Given the versatility of the tool, we look at a range of outcomes. So DSR adoption, we also have questions to sort of understand whether they're implementing the DSR correctly and whether they're interested in implementing in the future. We also have a world management survey inspired instrument to understand farming and management practices. It's typically for fertilizer use, for example, we don't just ask how much of what fertilizer are you using, because it's very hard to interpret. Instead, we ask sort of questions along the lines of, are you using the same amount of fertilizer every season, or do you vary the amount? If you vary the amount, do you look back at your records and adjust accordingly, or look at the data or adjust your fertilizer amounts, or do you just go with the recommended option? So we have, I think, a very, very nice survey instrument. We cover a lot of practices through the production cycle. And we also have, it's not very common to measure this in the agricultural context, so we have a management practice instrument as well. So we look at record keeping, do they try new practices, do they refer back to the records and so on. And we have longer shot outcomes like productivity and so on. Let me show you just one major result. So this is very initial work, so here's a breakdown of the messages that we receive. Firstly, by the way, this is based on like per user per week, and like the scale is a little bit small, but this is actually, given our scale and how long we have been running the experiment, it's actually thousands of messages in each category. There's a lot of like this, thank you, okay. There's a lot of like people asking about for recipes, manga float. Korean dramas is very popular. And there's a lot of these like exploration, like what is AI? This is nice, I think. Like we all did it. Our bot, by the way, is like it's flagged by our safety features, and like this message got the response like, "Can I help you with farming your business?" And there is some business and management questions, but here is where it gets interesting. Like this is still thousands of messages, by the way. There's a lot of crop protection given when we did the experiment. And the questions actually can get very specific. People asking for stem borers, black bugs, these are specific pests. RBB, like our app actually correctly identified the acronym and responded, like rice blight breach is a specific disease. And we have very specific questions. For example, for the timing, this is a question we get. So the crop protection products are kind of like antibiotics. If you get the timing of the application wrong, you don't get the benefit as much. So this is nice to see. We have these very specific questions. So farmers seem to be, like, when they engage, they seem to be, in addition to asking about Korean dramas, they seem to be asking, these very specific questions, which is how we want them to use it. I can go with the Q&A. I have like some initial results, like other stuff to show, but yes, please.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, we have time for a couple of questions, quite quick.
Curious about like your prompting and how do you evaluate the intent and sort of outcome? I mean, the experiment conditions have makes complete sense. I'm just thinking in terms of post-hoc analysis.
So we have a system prompt, knowledge base. The system prompt tells like how to refer to the user by like the knowledge base. The knowledge base also has like contingency. So like if farmer asks a question and the answer depends on their specific conditions, the bot actually asks questions back. For example, like, are you like in a slope field or like whatnot? I hope that answered the question. So like we iterated over like lots of user testing and expert testing. Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, just what I meant is more to do with like something like the cosine similarity between.
Oh, like this is just very simple like keyword search classification. We need like in the main paper we'll do like more sophisticated things.
Clarification question from language perspective, like so did the bot speak in the native language or like?
Yeah. So like it's actually surprisingly good with like very local dialects. Philippines, like both India and Philippines has our India sample is in a very specific region that's like only speaking Hindi, but in the Philippines it's nationwide. It actually seems to be able to like address dialects, but people also like ask in English sometimes.
And just one more question. So in India specifically, do you see that the farmers themselves use it, or is a younger member of the family?
Also, it's one of the so our recruitment also like we had more interest from the younger members in the family. So we only we address one person in the household, and other people also like are able to use it, but it's mostly the younger folks. Yeah. Yeah, so we have weekly reminders. So otherwise people forget about it like after the base and stuff. So we have weekly reminders. We actually have been doing more of that, especially on the Facebook. Like we have like how to use videos. Sometimes like we post like, why don't you ask this today? So we have daily reminders. Yeah.
Alright, thank you so much.
Thank you. By the way, if you want to try the bot, okay. here it is. We have this is a number to call if you want to definitely access the aggregate LLM, otherwise you'll be randomized. We are piloting new features for a new city in Kenya here, so you can try this one. And these are the real heroes, like our arrays and a farmer, from a farmer deployment.
Well, thank you so much.